Can illness be caused by sin? It's a good question. And the simple answer to that question is this: yes. So I guess we can just move on to question 3. Can't we? When you study the Bible, you find that there were times in past when individuals would sin and God would immediately afflict an individual with a disease. We have an example of that in Numbers, the 12th chapter, don't we? That chapter begins with 2 individuals, Miriam and Aaron, rising up in rebellion against their own brother Moses. Moses was the lawgiver, was he not? Moses was the leader of the Exodus out of Egypt. And here were this brother and their sister, and they were looking at this man and saying, that's our brother. And we've got just as much power and just as much authority as he does. In fact, we're older than he is. Old kids don't like the little kids to have a lot of stuff. So they rose up in rebellion against Moses. That did not please God well. The Bible tells us the anger of the Lord was kindled against them. And He departed. And the cloud departed from the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam, what? Became leprous, white as snow. Folks, leprosy was a dreadful disease, wasn't it? It afflicted the skin of a human being from the head all the way to the toe. Boils would rise up on the skin. They would burn and they would itch. They would break free and they would ooze with all kinds of fluids. Individuals would take potsherds and scratch their skin. The digits of the body, the fingers, the toes, the nose, the ears would oftentimes fall off as the skin just continued to rot. It was an extremely contagious disease, and individuals were cast out of society, weren't they? There was no cure, no man-made cure. And the only end was what? The only end was death. I would say Miriam was smitten with a pretty bad disease. Wouldn't you? Can sin cause illness and disease? This one example is what? Proof positive, yes. Now, fortunately, God doesn't operate in that manner today, or else we'd all be lepers, wouldn't we? We'd all have to see each other and scream out, leprosy, leprosy, unclean, unclean. We'd be running away from each other. God doesn't operate like that. But folks, guess what? Sin can still produce illness. The last 2 Sundays we had studied Romans 1:18 through 32, hadn't we? And the sins of the Gentiles. And we looked at a verse, Romans 1 verse 27, and it ends with these words, and receiving in themselves that recompense of error which was meet. We notice that little word recompense means reward. Sin has its rewards, doesn't it? But the rewards are not positive. The rewards are evil and wicked and harmful and dangerous. And a part of those are illnesses and disease. Folks, you drink enough alcohol, and guess what? You can develop liver disease, can't you? If you're an individual who is sexually promiscuous, then you can go out into this world and practice that evil and contract all kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. And there are more than one, aren't there? Individuals who are drug addicts oftentimes have all kinds of cardiovascular problems, respiratory problems, neurological issues, gastrological problems, and even mental health disorders. Sin can produce illness. And we need to take little children, don't we? And we need to teach those little children that those things can come upon them. Oh yes, you may think you're tough. And you may go many, many years before these particular things ever come upon you. But once you have them, it's too late, isn't it? And oftentimes you can never, ever get rid of those problems.